Just give it a few minutes because we have a couple of people still to join us. We will get underway then. Others will join us, I'm sure, shortly. So, Pnawn da bawb, John Williams, dwi cadeirydd y Bwrdd Iechyd Prifysgol Bai Abertawe. Croeso cynnes iawn i'r cyfarfod arbennig y Bwrdd Pnawn 'ma. A croeso mawr i'n arsylwyr ar-lein a i Alun Llywelyn a Helen Allendale gyda ni am y tro cyntaf pnawn 'ma. So, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jan Williams. I'm the chair of the board of Swansea Bay University Health Board, and a very warm welcome to you all to this special meeting of the board this afternoon. We're extending a warm welcome to those observing us online and to Councillor Alun Llywelyn and to Helen Allendale, who are joining us this afternoon for the first time. Alun as our Associate Board Member for Local Government, and Helen Allendale as the chair of the Health Professions Forum. You're both very welcome and we're very pleased to see you. And of course, we say a very big thank you, diolch yn fawr iawn, to Lee Davis from Hywel Dda, our neighbouring health board, who is going to be with us for part 2. And Lee, we know that you've given up annual leave to be with us today, and we are very grateful. So we have a number of apologies and people in representative roles this afternoon. So Marie Davis is not with us and Karen Stapleton, Deputy Director of Strategy, is attending. Richard Evans isn't with us and Raj Krishnan, the Deputy Executive Medical Director, is here. They're always a warm welcome to Ian MacDonald as the Assistant Director of Finance. And we've also got apologies from Deb Lewis, and we believe Craig is with us representing Deb. Apologies from Richard Thomas, Chris Morell, Jill Richardson, Alison Clark, Nicola Matthews, Jean Church, and Charlotte Rees. So if there are any other apologies, Hazel, are there any other apologies? Please come in.
Jan, just to say I'm here, it's Jill Richardson.
Oh, Jill, you are here. Oh, you're in with Hazel. Oh, lovely to see you. Thank you so much, Jill, because we are sort of thin on the ground this week because it being half term. So I think we are truly core, though, Hazel, aren't we? And we can continue. So thank you. So as I've said, this is a special meeting of the board. The board is the governing body of the organisation, and we have bi-monthly meetings through which we cover the breadth and the depth of our agenda. And you can track what happens in our regular bi-monthly meetings by going online and having a look at the opening of one of those regular meetings, because there I set out everything that the board has to do in one of its regular meetings. But there are times when we have to come together for specific purposes because of timings or other matters that mean we're outside of our normal business cycle. And we are in that arena today, where we are looking particularly at regional cellular pathology matters. Can I just check before we get underway, does anyone have a declaration of interest relating to this specific agenda, please? No? Thank you. Well, Lee, at that point, I'll welcome you to Swansea Bay Board. We're very pleased that you could be with us to take us through, if you would, the high level features of the papers before us this afternoon. You can take it that we've read the papers in detail. We're just looking for the highlights, and then I'm sure that colleagues might have some specific questions for you. Drosoch i chi, Lee. Over to you, Lee.
Diolch, Cadeirydd. Pnawn da pawb. Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, everybody. So, as you say, I'll take it as read, the papers, Chair. We've obviously had discussions at in-committee and regional joint committee prior to this also. The key points for board members to be aware of is that we've been working for some time jointly across the two health boards to identify a solution to some of our estate's challenges facing the two health boards within pathology, which we think is then also compounding some of the workforce challenges we have, particularly with consultant pathologists. So in the autumn, we brought back to boards an update on the work that we've been undertaking, and we asked board support for us to progress the shortlisting of the sites and a detailed review of the two sites that we'd shortlisted at that point. Subsequently, we identified a third site, which we then brought into the process because we felt that that met the objectives of the project. And we, over the following months, have undertaken a detailed assessment of the technical implications of developing those sites as a regional cellular pathology laboratory. So mechanical engineering and architectural capability assessments. So we had external support for that. We've also looked at the non-technical assessments. So the two service teams have considered factors such as recruitment and so on. And then we've also looked at the financial implications, capital revenue and indicative timelines. So we're seeking board support today for us to submit our proposal to Welsh Government and draw your attention to the specific recommendations within that. And happy to take any questions from there, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lee. And of course, we did have the special meeting of the Regional Joint Committee meeting yesterday, as referenced there, and endorsed the preferred site to recommend to both boards. We are meeting this afternoon, and Hywel Dda board is meeting tomorrow. So at that point, I'll open it up for any questions or comments. Nuria, would you like to come in?
You were faster than my hand, Jan. I would. Thank you, Lee. Thank you for the paper. As you know, I haven't been party to the detailed discussions, and there is a lot in the paper that you've presented. But I think that there may be more that hasn't actually been reflected on the paper itself. In particular, what I would welcome is assurance on how this fits in with our strategic workforce objectives and revenue objectives. So you could say a bit more about that. That would be really welcome, dear. Lee, sorry.
Thank you, Nuria. Lee, over to you.
Yes, thank you. Absolutely. So, so we undertook a full assessment of the non-technical implications of each of the sites as well, which we've set out at a high level in the paper, and we had the workshop at the beginning of the month with service representatives from both health boards, plus then representatives from the shared services and All Wales Shared Services Partnership to support us in that process, alongside then the external experts that we commissioned to support us with the work. So we went through in detail the technical and non-technical assessments. I think it's fair to say that there were advantages and disadvantages of each of the three sites, and we went through each of those in some detail. From a technical perspective, the Sandringham site was the preferred site, with Bay Campus second, Pentre Awel third. And the main reason for that was, although it's an older building, it would be a case of starting afresh essentially, and therefore offered a blank canvas for us to develop the cellular pathology laboratory. The Bay Campus facility does have existing laboratories, and the second and third floor do not require any additional work for our purposes. So that came out with considerably lower capital costs. From a non-technical perspective, the two services were unanimous in their view that the Bay Campus offered the most opportunity, closely followed by Pentra Arwell. And the reasons for that were the co-location with the university, particularly in the case of Bay Campus, but also in the case of Pentra Arwell, and in the case of Pentra Arwell, some health services that are going to be there in the next 12 months or so. Sandringham, whilst technically easier to develop, if you like, into the regional laboratory, doesn't offer those same opportunities. And a key objective of the project was not just to replace the estate, but also to provide a centre of excellence that would support our recruitment, particularly of consultant pathologists, which are in short supply across the UK. So both services were very strongly of the opinion that having an asset co-located with university facilities would really support that aspiration, and they were very strongly of the view, therefore, that the Bay Campus was the preferred option when all factors were considered. We've also got the economic assessment within the update, and it's the Bay Campus comes out as narrowly the preferred option there, albeit there's a different balance between the capital and the revenue, which would place more of a revenue implication on the health boards. But overall, the total cost over a 15-year period was slightly lower for the Bay Campus. So they were all the factors that were considered as part of that workshop that led us to that conclusion. And there was a consensus across the room on that day that was the preferred option for this for the regional facility. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee. And just to confirm for everyone, we're not signing up to any revenue consequences today. And in the papers, you'll see a series of recommendations that, again, our colleague Hugh Thomas, the Director of Finance from Hywel Dda, has framed, because there is a lot of work to do in respect of what capitalisation might be available, what commercial opportunities there may be, what productivity and efficiency gains there may be, how we can increase the use of digital and technology. So we're not being asked to sign up to any type of revenue tail today. It's important to bear that in mind. So Nuria, does that give you some assurance?
Yes, as I said earlier in our discussions, it does give us a lot of reassurance, and I am really reassured by the fact that I can tell that our executive thinks this is the best fit moving forward.
Yeah, thank you. Steve, did you want to come in on timelines?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to cross into the realms of commercial confidentiality, but I think it would be a good idea if, Lee, you could give us a general idea and a general idea of how long it's all going to take, assuming green lights from here until we've got a service up and running.
Thank you. Lee, do you want to start, and then I'll ask Ian to come in?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it is an important question, Steve, because as we've noted in the work done on this to date, there's a time urgency to resolving some of the risks that we've got. So the delivery timeline was a very important consideration for us in any option that we were considering. So we've been working to try to get to a solution that could be implemented within a 18 to 24 month time period. We believe that is achievable within the three options that we've got, but particularly the preferred option. There is further work to be done on that, but broadly speaking, we're intending at the end of this week to submit the proposal to Welsh Government. We're hoping Welsh Government will be able to consider that ahead of the election period. That obviously will have an implication of a number of months, depending on whether they're able to do that or not. Then that would allow us to progress to a business justification case, and we'd be looking for Welsh Government support with the fees for that. That is obviously subject to Welsh Government agreement also, that's a route that they're happy for us to take, although we've had informal discussions along those lines. And then that business justification case, we're expecting to be something in the order of 12 months, and then the construction work would be a similar sort of time period. So that's broadly what we're working to, but obviously that is dependent on a number of factors at this stage, and we're trying to proceed at the quickest rate that we can, given those risks that we've outlined previously. Ian, you may want to add something to that. Thank you.
Thanks, Lee. As you said there, I think we can be reasonably confident that we could have a facility up and running within the next 2 years. So we'll submit something into Welsh Government. It's a couple of months for that. We will require design fees to take this forward in the location. So we'll require that funding from Welsh Government. And then 9 to 12 months for design, 9 to 12 months for actually the building work all to be completed itself. So 2 years is a reasonable view of where we are today.
Thank you, Ian. So shall I open it up more widely? Are there any other comments or questions for Lee or Ian? Abby.
Yeah, thank you, Jan. Not a question, because I've had those answered in questions that have been asked previously, but just to thank the Lee and the teams involved in the work. I think it's a really good example of the opportunity that exists for the two organisations working together under the Regional Joint Committee, and considering where we were a couple of years ago and where we've got to now, and particularly the work that's been very intensive over the last 6 months to get us to where we need to be. And to say that I think this is a really fantastic opportunity. We've really struggled with this service in terms of clinical leadership, having a sustainable workforce, and this presents us with a really exciting opportunity to strengthen our relationships with the with partners, and to really build on what we know are gaps in our service provision at the moment. And just a reminder that when the Ministerial Advisory Group visited, which was 12 months ago now, there was a really strong recommendation that this was the most important priority that we needed to address. And I know it's taken some time to get us here, but all the work that colleagues involved, and Ian, your team being involved, and counterpart in Hywel Dda, I think it's a really good exemplar, Chair, and I just wanted to put that on record.
Thank you. Thank you, Abby, and we will record our formal thanks. So Lee, if you will take that back to all the team in Hywel Dda, and Ian similarly, everybody has been involved in this. As Abby's indicated, it's been a piece of work for everybody's come together and looked at the options objectively, impartially, to make sure that we come out with the best model for the future. And I think that is testament to the way in which the two organisations are working together. So shall we move to the recommendations then? We've heard that the Regional Joint Committee has supported and endorsed the work and the preferred laboratory site. We happy to support that? Thank you. And then to approve the submission of the paper as we have it into Welsh Government, incorporating the recommendations as they have been framed for us by Hugh Thomas, whom we also thank for his inputs. And Nuria, you did make an important point earlier that for members of the board who are not members of the RJC, there is a lot of paperwork associated with the very ambitious work programme that the RJC has underway. And for Helen and Alan, this is one small project, albeit a flagship project, of a much wider work programme that the Regional Joint Committee has underway, and we've made some significant achievements in 25-26. So Hazel, can I suggest that when we issue papers for the RJC, they go to all members of the board for information purposes? And Helen, you may well think that this will be of interest to the Health Professionals Forum, and we could remit Ian probably to come and talk to the Professionals Forum about how we've got here and the opportunities it presents. Would that be helpful?
Yes, it would. Thanks, Chair. I'll link with you.
Thank you, because it is really exciting, and as we said, it is a flagship and demonstrates, and will demonstrate to an incoming government just how well the two health boards are working together. So diolch yn fawr iawn I chi gyd, and Neil Wooding and I would particularly like to thank Steve Spill and his counterpart Eleanor Marks from Hywel Dda, who maintain direct board level oversight on our behalf and will continue to do so. So diolch Steve and Eleanor, and Lee, if you would take that back to Eleanor as well, to your board tomorrow. Thank you. So the second item under this agenda is the Memorandum of Understanding report, the transitional MOU. Hazel, do I hand over to you for that?
Yes, please, Chair. Thank you. So this is a redrafted Memorandum of Understanding. It was initially approved by each board in March 2025. The main updates are covered in section 3 of the report, and it's updated to reflect the changes in the pathology programme structure and governance arrangements, and relates to ARCH and ARCH PMO being replaced by RJC and RJC PMO. Terms of reference to the regional cellular pathology governance structure have now been included. And in relation to the ODN leadership arrangements, these have been removed, and they'll be considered as part of a detailed service specification, which will be undertaken in 26-27. So those are the main changes, and we're asking the board to approve these. They did go to the Regional Joint Committee yesterday and were supported to come to each board for approval.
Thank you, Hazel. Before I open it up, Jean Church is not able to be with us today, but she has a question on the MOU, and it relates to, whilst this is a transitional MOU, can we be assured that the indemnity and liability clauses clearly dictate who is financially responsible if things go wrong? So Hazel, can I ask you to come back on that one, please?
Yes, certainly, Chair. So as it is now, that's set out in terms of the two organisations, the two health boards. As the board has now selected an option, there'll be a second a document that would then be created or looked at in terms of contractual arrangements with the provider and the health boards, and discussions with Welsh Risk Pool in terms of occupiers' liability, who provides indemnity in relation to the equipment and the staff as well. So that will all be covered in the next phase of work.
Oh, thank you, Hazel. And we'll relay that back to Pat to Jean via the minutes. Any other comments or queries for Hazel on the MOU? So can we move to approve then, as set out there? Thank you. And Hazel, thank you and Joe and to everybody involved in this is a very important governance dimension of this work. So thank you for that. So that brings the meeting to a close. Diolch yn fawr iawn I chi gyd am eich cyfraniadau. Thank you all very much for your contributions. Some important work this afternoon takes us another step forward on our joint work with Hywel Dda around regional pathology services. Diolch yn fawr iawn I chi gyd and hwyl am nawr. So thank you all very much for your contributions, and bye-bye for now. Hwyl.